Luke, can you tell the jury what you do for a living?
Sure. I own a coffee company called Coffee House. We roast and import coffee here in Detroit.
And you roast and import. Do you do any? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you do anything else with? You have a store. Do you sell coffee from?
Yeah, so we sell to about 100 different businesses around Metro Detroit. So coffee, tea, products like that. And then we have our own cafe up at Somerset Mall as well.
And where's your business, the roasting and importing, where's it located?
So the roasting and importing side of things, all the manufacturing is done at 1111 Bellevue Street in Detroit.
In Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell the jury about what area that is in Detroit?
Yes, it's in a neighborhood called Island View, which is like mostly industrial buildings. It's basically situated a block off of where Belle Isle is located. So generally East Detroit is kind of the consideration here.
Okay. And I want to draw your attention to November 30th of 2021. Was your business at that location at that time?
Yes.
And were you residing near or around your business?
Yeah, at the time I was living, maybe a mile away, pretty close though.
Okay. And let's just take a moment, and can you tell the jury what this building is, how much of the space you occupy, and what it's used for?
Sure. So it's an industrial building that was built in around the 1920s. Originally they built like pickup trucks or something inside of there, but now the current owner has it basically for different tenants. So we occupy about 3,000 square feet in the building. I'd say there's probably 5 to 10 different tenants who rotate in and out every now and then. The building itself is basically split up into like 1 to 2,000 square foot units itself. So at any time, I'd say there's on average 10 tenants in that building at any given time. So.
And are they all the same type of tenants?
No, all completely different people. Like our neighbors, they like breed rare plants,
okay.
Tons of different stuff.
All right. And on the first floor, is that where you are?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is on the first floor, if you know?
So there's the rare plant place, and then there's somebody who packages like fine art. There's a painter who does just like hobbyist work, and then I think that's it for us on the first floor. I don't know if there was somebody else in there at the time, but I think it was just that floor.
Okay. How do you enter well, we just heard testimony that they're about parking. Our former witness wasn't sure. Can you tell the jury whether there was parking within or outside of the building?
Yeah, so you can park in three, I would say, designated areas for the building. There's one on one side of the building. There's another on the other side, and both of those entrances are gated. So you have like a little, fob to open the gate, garage opener.
Each tenant has a fob?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say every single one does, but usually if you ask, the property manager can approve that and give you one. And then people generally park on the street as well. Now there's like a dirt lot across the street that people park, but at the time of this, that was not their land. So
and was there indoor parking?
No, there's not designated indoor parking, though some tenants have garages.
Okay, let me ask it a different way, because it's relevant to what was
Sure.
happening that night. Do you use that building space for anything other than just your business?
So on the third floor of the building at the time, I used our garage storage area to put one of my cars away.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And just briefly, because it relates, what's your relationship with cars?
Okay, so I would
object to the relevance.
Your Honor, if I could just respond. Can I just respond, please? In a moment, I'm going to ask him about identifying the car and how he was able to identify that car. I think most people wouldn't have been able to, so I'm just trying to lay a foundation.
Well, based on my knowledge of previous testimony, I'm going to allow that.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
So I'm just a general car enthusiast. I think I've been obsessed with cars ever since I was a kid. And at the time, I had 2 or 3 cars, and one of them, it was like a nicer one, so I put it away. I didn't leave it on the street where my house was because I had street parking. So I had one of my cars that got like hit. You know, the mirror got pulled off, so I obviously didn't want that to happen to a nicer car. So on the third floor, we have a garage, and so I pull that in during the nighttime or anytime I don't plan on enjoying it, driving it.
Okay,
when
so
I can drive my little
all right, thank you. So is there any need? Was there any vendor type businesses in that building? And the reason I ask is it a place where customers would come and park and open to the public? In the building?
I would say that it's generally not like a public building. There's not present retail in the building. There's not like, for example, our roastery doesn't have a coffee shop or any cafe component. It's strictly like a business
Okay.
For manufacturing.
And when you switched the car that night, do you remember? Did you go and were you at the warehouse that night at later in the evening?
Yes.
Do you remember about what time it was?
Probably around 10 p.m.
And is that something you would routinely do at night because of the situation with your cars, or
Objection,
was
Your
that?
Honor, leading.
I just tried to get out, or so that it wouldn't be a leading question.
Why were you there that night?
To switch the cars.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. So, talk to me, or tell the jury, what, if anything, you knew about the Oxford shooting or the Crumbleys that
Sure.
evening.
Yeah, so I was generally aware of obviously the news that had happened. You know, I read the news about the shooting, which I think everybody in Michigan really kind of heard what had happened at that point. Early in the day, I remember seeing a poster about the parents being on the run. And
Okay,
so,
you're gesturing your hand, and when you say poster, and first, do you remember, was that November 30th of what day was that?
I assume it was the same day that this happened.
Okay,
Earlier
well,
in the
let
day.
me back up.
Sure.
The same day that they were charged, or the same day that the event happened?
Objection, Your Honor. I don't think that there's been testimony that Mr. Kirtley is aware of when they were charged.
Okay, she's trying to, he said the same day that this happened, so she's clarifying if he means the encounter at Bellevue or the shooting.
The encounter.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you remember the actual day that this occurred that night?
The 30th of November, I believe.
That was the shooting.
Yeah.
Do you remember the day
then-
what date it was? If I said December 3rd, does that make sense to you?
It seems correct. I don't
Okay.
know, like, if I remember it off the top of my head, the exact
Okay.
date.
Backing up, you were
Mhm.
motioning to your hand and saying poster, and I'm what
So
are,
I saw it on Facebook.
okay, and what did you see?
So it was a poster. It was essentially like a wanted poster. So there were pictures of the parents, a picture of the car, the license plate was on there, and then I think just general information about what had happened.
Were you aware that law enforcement was looking for the Crumbleys?
Yes.
And do you remember about what time you arrived that evening?
Around 10 p.m.
Okay. And tell the jury what, if anything, you saw when you entered the parking space. Is it, well, first of all, when you go there at that time of day, is there usually anybody in the parking lot?
Not really. There's a couple tenants who leave their cars there. There's a work van for a millwork company, but generally there's not many vehicles that hang out in that lot overnight.
Okay. So you drive into the parking lot, and what do you see?
So originally, I drove into, if you're facing the front of the building, I always park on the right side, so there's two lots left, right. And I just have a fob for the right lot. It's two different ones. So I pulled in, was just doing my thing. Generally, there's some cars there, so, when I saw this car that was backed into the spot in the corner, originally I didn't pay any mind to it. I was
Okay,
just
when you say this car, what do you mean? So you
Sure,
drove
I'm
in, you did see a car?
I did see a car, yeah.
Okay, can
And
you
so
tell
it
the
was,
jury where it was?
Yep, so it's backed in it was if I'm facing the front of the lot, it's a rectangular lot, and it was in the back right corner. So probably the furthest spot from the building entrance in theory.